Hamas says it will release one of the hostages still being held in Gaza. Edon Alexander is a U.S.-Israeli soldier who was abducted during the October 7th attack in 2023. Hamas say he could be freed within the next 2 days as a goodwill gesture to the United States ahead of President Donald Trump's trip to the region this week. For more on this, we can cross over to Washington and our U.S. correspondent, Benjamin Alvarez-Gruber. Hi, Benjamin. What more can you tell us about this hostage release deal and the negotiations that led to it?
President Trump's envoy for the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, has confirmed that Hamas has agreed to release the Israeli-American Edan Alexander, as you said, the last living U.S. hostage in Gaza. That's what many believe, at least according to a U.S. official. His special envoy for hostage response from the White House, Adam Boehler, is already traveling to Israel with Edan Alexander's parents to retrieve their son from Hamas captivity. And according to this U.S. officials, they're expected to arrive in Israel on Tuesday. And what we've heard from Hamas officials that they've spoken to the Associated Press, they expect this release to happen in the next 48 hours. So it's not yet clear when exactly this will happen, but at least that's what we're getting from reports from the side from Hamas.
And can you tell us a bit about who Edon Alexander is?
Yes, a 20-year-old Israeli-American soldier, so he has both nationalities, Israeli and also a U.S. citizen. He grew up in New Jersey. He was a soldier in the Israel military when Hamas attacked on October 7th of 2023. He was abducted from the military base where he was stationed near the border to the Gaza Strip, along with 250 people taken hostage that day from southern Israel. Well, 1,200 more were killed that day.
Now, it's quite important that this deal appears to have happened without the Israeli government's prior knowledge. What does this tell us about the Trump administration's relations with the Israeli government at the moment?
It says a lot about the relationship, that it's really not in a very good moment right now. We've heard that the Trump administration is frustrated with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who was here recently, but also the reports that we're getting from Israeli media right now, because they're reporting that Steve Witkoff, that I mentioned, that it's President Trump's special envoy to the Middle East, recently told families of the hostages that are still in Gaza that he disagrees with Israel's approach to the war, also saying that the United States wants to return the hostages. But according to this media reports, he said, and I quote, "Israel is not ready to end the war," accusing Israel of prolonging the war, even though they don't see any further progress that can be made. So it shows the disagreement between the Israeli government and the Trump government, and also considering that these are negotiations happening between Washington and Hamas directly. So it says a lot about how the current situation, how the current relationship between Israel and the United States is unfolding right now.
And Trump is set to visit Middle Eastern countries this week. Why is he going to the region?
That is right, a very important trip from Monday to Friday. He's traveling to Saudi Arabia, to Qatar, to United Arab Emirates soon. We're talking about very energy-rich Gulf countries that are kind of raising, right, to turn their influence over Donald Trump, who has business in all of those three countries, into kind of gains during this visit, and of course have their own set of priorities. Many experts see business as the key element for addressing stakes during this visit. We have Qatar, a key mediator in a number of conflicts, from war in Gaza to Afghanistan, and many see this also as an effort to remain relevant in the eyes of Washington. So that, of course, is also the case when we look at Saudi Arabia, when we look at the United Arab Emirates. But what's really interesting is something that was reported earlier today here in the United States. These are, of course, only media reports for now, but they say that the royal family in Qatar offered a gift to President Trump, a 747 jumbo jet that might be used as a new Air Force One. We know that President Trump has been quite frustrated there that they have not been able to renew the plane that is currently currently being used for presidential transport. Of course, that raises a lot of concerns, as there might be this jet offered by a foreign government, but it remains to be seen if that actually will be the case and will be announced in the next couple of days during this trip to this Gulf Arab nations.
Lots to follow there. Thank you so much for breaking that down for us. That's the US correspondent Benjamin Alvarez-Gruber in Washington.